fellowship for allowing us to use their facilities. I see there's a few more people starting to pour in right now, so I'll give them a second to do so. And while we're doing that, just to kind of give you guys a heads up about what this is and what we're doing, St. George is a newly incorporated city, the newest city in Louisiana. And as of now, every city needs a comprehensive plan. Right now, we are developing our very first ever comprehensive plan. So you guys are on the ground floor of a lot of what we're doing today. A lot of information that you're going to see today is going to be consistent of existing conditions throughout the city of St. George. So all the things that you're seeing are currently where we are. And we're trying to get your feedback into not only see what you like, but what we can also improve. A lot of what the information we're asking for is not specifically on, I know it's easier sometimes to discuss about the things that we don't like, but we also want to hear about the things that you really do like. And we also want to hear about things that we can improve and how we can improve them, or how you see best in the ways that we can improve them. So throughout this presentation, please just think about where we are now and how you want to see us in the future, because a lot of this is what we are doing and how we're setting up the city for the future. And with that being said, I want to go ahead and introduce the Honorable Mayor Dustin Yates to go ahead and kick us off this evening.
Thank you, Bryant. Another wonderful day, another wonderful opportunity for our community, for our citizenry to get engaged with where you live, with the government that you have spent so many years in creating. This process, like Brian has said, has been a wonderful process up to this point. And it's been community driven. All the things that you see on the boards out there, that's not something I sketched in my office when I had free time. Those are things that were ideas and things that have come to us through focus groups, through community engagement, through community activism, things that folks would like to see, things that folks would like to preserve in our area. So I really couldn't be more proud of the citizens of St. George for stepping up and doing this. Every group that we need to fill, we filled in doing this process. All the way to having a Sunday afternoon meeting, which I know sometimes doesn't happen all that often, but having so many people here that represent so many different areas of our city is extremely encouraging. As we go through this plan and this process, what I ask you to do when you look at things is don't necessarily see things the way that they are today. Envision what they could be in the future. Right? What could we be in 5 years? What could we be in 10 years? What could we be in 30 years? All those things are important questions to ask of ourselves and of our city and our community as we go through this process. Because ultimately, and we've said this from the very beginning with St. George, it's not so much about today, it's what we leave behind for the generations to come after us, right? One of the reasons why we created St. George, the main reason why I got involved with the city of St. George so many years ago was I looked around and I said, at the time I had a child that was 3 and 5 years old, and we wanted to do something different. We wanted to create a place in an area in the parish, and all of really East Baton Rouge Parish, where when my children came of age, they had an opportunity to go to great schools. They had the opportunity for jobs. They had the opportunity to sit here and invest in the community in which they were raised. And for far too long, we have lost too many people who have grown up right here in St. George and East Baton Rouge Parish. They've left. They've gone to Ascension. They've gone to Livingston. They've gone to Houston. They've gone to other places looking for the same things that I just referred to. Great school system, job opportunity, opportunity to raise their family in a safe spot, quality of life things that we have gone too far without really grasping here at St. George. So as we go through this process, think about that. Think about your children. Think about your grandchildren. Think about the great-great-great-grandchildren that we'll never see. But the things we do today and the things that we accomplish today will be a benefit to them in the future. And to me, that's exciting. To me, that's a hallmark of any great society, is that we don't do for us, we do for the ones that have yet to come. And I think that's something that we have missed so much in government, especially in local government in years past. And that has to stop, and that has to change. And that's why I was so excited to start down this path with this plan, because it gives a real opportunity for everyday people to come in here and get engaged with your government and get engaged with a process that is going to have tremendous benefit and value to our community, to our parish, to our region, to the state of Louisiana for many years to come. And I've said this publicly many times here in the last few months, but you're never going to hear me speak publicly and not talk about our school system until May 16th. As many of you know, we began this journey for the city of St. George based off our want and our necessity to have control of our school system. We're here now. We're here. Now's the time, and we've waited for 15 years to get to the point where the residents can actually vote on the creation of the St. George Community School System. This was an idea that began 15 years ago. We were told no. We were told no. We were told no, you have to go create a city. So that's what we did. We created a city. We did that. We spent 5 years in litigation. Took us another 2 years to get our city stood up. We had to go through the process in the state legislature in order to get that constitutional amendment passed this past year. And now finally on May 16th, we get an opportunity to vote on the future for our children, future for our education. And I'm going to tell you a few things about it. And I want you to listen when this campaign comes out and listen to what we say compared to those who oppose us say. The ones that oppose us will talk about money. They will talk about buildings. We will talk about children. We will talk about education. And these are some of the other things that you'll hear them say, is that we are creating a system that is meant for white kids, for white children. That's why we're going to do this. This is the fact. This is reality. Our system will be one of the most diverse school systems in the state of Louisiana, day one. Day one, 47% African American, 31% white, 18% Hispanic, 4% Asian. That puts us at a 70% minority system starting out day one. There's only currently a handful of children that actually come from outside of the city of St. George that go to direct run EBR schools. So this isn't about eliminating children's opportunities for a great education. This is about taking what we have here and making it the very best. Because we didn't start this city, and we're not going to start a school system to be the most okay city in the state or the most okay school system in the state. We want to be the very best. And that will be a direct reflection on student achievement, on family satisfaction. And the last point I'll bring up about that is this. Some of our families that have children that attend magnet schools, currently in EBR, I'll have you know that we put it in the law last year that those children can continue to, or will be continually allowed to attend those schools. Reason being is this: I don't think me as a governmental official have any right whatsoever to tell you as a mother or father what school best suits your child. Don't believe it. I think your child should go where they want to go. They're accepted into another program, they should be allowed to go into that other program. Vice versa. If we have capacity here in St. George and there's a child that wants to attend one of our schools, why should we not allow that to happen? Because at the end of the day, it's not about politics. It's not about jurisdictional lines. It's not about money. It's about our children. It's about education. So I'll end on that note. There'll be a lot more coming out about our school system in the weeks to come. Early voting will begin in April, and the final vote is on May 16th. It is the most important vote we will ever have in the city of St. George. I know I've said that a few times in the past, but now I'm for real. Okay, this is the last hurrah of everything we said that we were going to do going back to 2010. It's here. It's here, and we have an opportunity to truly change the trajectory of not only the city of St. George, but East Baton Rouge Parish. So thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part and helping us build and grow our new city. And thank you so much in advance for showing up on May 16th and voting yes for our kids. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, for that amazing speech. And up next, we will have our consultant. We'll have Abby coming up and speaking with Lionheart to go over the presentation before this evening's festivities.
Thanks, Bryant. Welcome, everybody. We're really glad to have you here on a Sunday. I think it's we're excited to be where we are. I think it's an incredible testament to the city of St. George as a brand new city. There are a whole lot of things that the city is trying to get up to speed and do really quickly as a new city. And a lot of times when folks have got everything coming at them, they don't take the time to think big and to think strategic. We've really met some incredible people while we've been here. Your leadership has been, just inspiring. Folks are really excited about what you're doing here, and it's shown, and it's been really exciting to work here. So we're glad to be here. I'm going to see if I can get this going. Yeah. The green light's on. Pushing. Ah, there it goes. Thank you. Okay, so the theme of today is understanding the possibilities. We have got, I'm going to have Olivia come up here in just a minute and tell you a little bit about what we heard the last time that we were in town. Then I'm going to go ahead and talk about what are the outcomes from that. And then I'm going to take you through a little bit of existing conditions. So the first thing that we always like to do as part of a comprehensive plan effort is we like to first listen. And so that's what we did last time we were here. And the reason that we're doing that, we had a lot of focus groups. We spent a lot of time driving around. And we had a big meeting like this. We had an inspirational talk about walkable cities. And we did all that to inspire people, to hear from folks. And what that all leads to is a vision and goals. And you'll see those vision and goals on some boards out there. We're asking you to look at them and sort of rank, put dots out there to say, here are the ones that are on a matrix. Here's what's most important, and here's where I am in terms of satisfaction with how the city is providing that now. It'll be helpful for us to be able to see that from a priorities as well as what does the city work more on, less on, things like that. But vision and goals, that's the first part. Now, the theme of today is understanding possibilities. So we've done a whole lot of research. We've worked a ton with the city staff to understand all of the existing conditions in terms of what's going on now. And we've started to put some ideas out there as to what could happen. What are some possibilities based on what we heard from you all, as well as based on some of all of this research that we've been doing. So when you look at, as soon as you leave here, we've got a foyer there that has a lot of ideas about some activity centers or some nodes. We have a section about corridors. So those are the possibilities, and that's what we're going to be asking you to really comment on today. In terms of where we go next, we're going to take those possibilities. We're going to refine all of these based on what we hear, and then the next time we're going to start getting into a lot more detail. So as opposed to presentation, we'll have big maps at tables, groups sitting around those, and really starting to put on the map where people in different land uses, different commercial businesses, different things like that, where they should be going. And we're always thinking about the future. So that's one thing that's exciting about a comprehensive plan. We're thinking 20 years, 15 years out into the future, what can these places look like? So that's the next one. That happens in around the May timeframe. And then after that, in August or so, we'll be talking about implementation. So now that we know where are the opportunities, we've started to dive into what are the specific opportunities and how will that look? And then we'll start to talk about how do we actually make that happen. So what is a comprehensive plan? A comprehensive plan it's a guiding document. It's a policy document. It's something that your leadership and your policymakers can use when they're trying to look at and make hard decisions. It gives them some policy statements, the vision, the goals to really think towards, and how do we make this decision with that framework in mind. It's something that as people are trying to maybe develop land, they would look at this map and they would say, what has the community envisioned for this space? They would also be able to see where are the roads that might need to be connecting through this area? Where are there some trails that might be connecting through this area? So developers use it, citizens, community members use it. As you're talking with your leaders about certain decisions that may come before them, you can refer to this as something that the community had all come together and put a common vision together. So that's really what a comprehensive plan is. It's not a book of rules. The rules kind of come next. And the thing, I talked about this being a great opportunity and something that, like I said, a lot of cities don't spend this time and effort in doing. But it really means so much to have sometimes just a picture of what could be in the future can mean so much about directing the decisions that are made from all of these different levels towards that future. So we of course can never predict the future, but by at least saying something and at least putting some vision out there, it really is amazing how things do start to move towards that. So that's this opportunity now. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Olivia to talk a little bit about what we heard last time.
All right, hi everyone. Last time we were here, it was at the end of the year in December, and I know I've seen a lot of familiar faces, so I'm happy that you guys all showed up again. We had about 300 people participate in the last stakeholder dialogue, either in person or online. We had a number of focus groups, as Abby mentioned. We had an inspirational talk from Jeff Speck. We did tours around the area, and we also had an online poll where we were able to collect feedback. During the focus groups, a few key points came up that were kind of reiterated throughout, no matter what the topic was, but a lot of it was focused on creating economic development, mobility and connectivity, and creating important community facilities, including schools. So during the economic development meeting, we talked about enhancing commercial areas, including strip malls and vacant spaces along specific corridors. We talked about implementing traffic access management for new developments. And we also talked about promoting regional coordination and flood control. During the mobility and connectivity focus group, we talked about enhancing mobility and connectivity through safe and comfortable transportation means. We talked about emphasizing pedestrian-oriented design, as well as encouraging additional access management, synchronized traffic signaling, and right-of-way preservation. During the discussion about public works, safety, and infrastructure, we talked about becoming a regional leader in delivering high-quality infrastructure, maintaining safety standards, and enforcing safety regulations. Additionally, investing in flood control measures, improving roadways, and engaging in coordinated planning efforts with Baton Rouge. Also supporting the policies that implement developer impact fees and updating existing ordinances to enhance infrastructure strategies. And then during the community facilities meeting, schools and parks are central to the community identity here, as we heard from the mayor. We want to analyze school capacity and strategically place new facilities within existing neighborhoods to decrease traffic. Also, significant upgrades to the greater local control of parks, and coordinate with BREC to improve shared facilities and the overall quality of parks and recreation. During that stakeholder dialogue, we also asked everybody what was most special and what was most authentic about St. George. Community spirit was one of the top things that continued to come up, and that's clear with all of the engagement that you guys have had over the numerous years that you guys have been becoming a city, and then this process over the past few months. Another thing that's been very important is that your local government and leaders are incredibly involved, and it's really lucky to have that. Not every city has that, and it just means that all of your contributions are going to be even more meaningful as the city moves forward. Another thing that was important is your parks and recreational spaces. As I said before, that's really central to your identity. It's important. Your schools and your parks are really kind of the core of St. George. We also asked people on that giant map outside, which I hope you guys all go to again. We asked people where their favorite places were, where they spent a lot of time. The places that kind of came up as hot spots were Perkins Road, the Jones Creek Road, St. George Catholic Church and School, Highland Road Community Park, and Hilltop Arboretum. And you'll see that that's kind of translated into those opportunity areas that you'll see in the foyer. Additionally, we asked everybody to pretend to be a council member for a day and take $1,000 and tell us what they want to fund. No surprise that maintain and improve the street network was the first one that everybody wanted to spend the money on. Next being flood hazard mitigation and drainage improvements. Additionally, improving public safety and investing in economic development opportunities followed. So it's helpful to do this kind of exercise because it starts to kind of highlight what everybody's values are, right? You're putting your money where your mouth is, and these are the things that the community really wants to prioritize moving forward. And you'll see that reflected in the vision statement and goals. We also asked everybody to kind of look at the priorities that came from Future BR. Those were regional goals and policies that were put forward for the entire parish, and we wanted to make sure that, you know, if any of those aligned with you as a city still, what we should be prioritizing. And transportation and parks and recreation, again, came up as the most important for the city. All right, so Abby's gonna come back up and talk about the vision and goals.
Great. So all of that information that we received through that really came down to these core vision or goal statements. These will become the foundation of the comprehensive plan. And so what you'll see, we're asking you questions about them out there, but what you'll see when you start to look at the document that comes out is that we're really framing all of our work around these vision statements. So we're not spending a lot of time analyzing things that are not important to the city and to the community. We want to spend our time thinking about and talking about these things because these are what's most important. So I am going to read these. St. George is the best run city in Louisiana. It's attractive, safe, and responsive. St. George is where families thrive and children grow, learn, and nourish their passions close to home. St. George is a destination for innovation and opportunity that attracts and retains young professionals. St. George is a place where getting around is easy, intuitive, and safe. St. George is a community that celebrates its natural resources as integral to its identity. So I hope that those resonate with you. They did come from a lot of work of focus groups, advisory committee, all coming together to put all of those words together. We had a lot of discussion about different words that made the most sense. So there's a lot of work that went into this, and I hope that it resonates with you, but we're also here to reconfirm that. And so we'd love to hear if you've got any additional ideas or things like that that go along with it. All right. Existing conditions. So one of the things we want to know is we want to know where we are now to know where you want to go. So it's an important part. One of the things that's important about existing conditions is population projections. The reason that's important for a comprehensive plan is that if we're planning for 20 years out, we need to know, is the city growing? Do we need to have more housing to support more people moving here? How many are going to move here? At what growth rate? Do we need more businesses and community resources now already? And at what rate? So population projections are important. One of the things that we worked really hard on for St. George is that typically with population projections, you do those based on a trend. But with St. George being a newer city, it was difficult to go back and get trends. So we used a lot of census. We did a lot of work to use all of the different census tracts to bring that together to come with this. We have two different kind of methodologies that we use to project population. One is to think about the trend of this place, and then the other is to think about what is St. George in relation to the population of East Baton Rouge Parish. And so if it's, you know, this much less than East Baton Rouge Parish, if East Baton Rouge Parish is meant to continue to grow, St. George maybe will continue to grow at that same pace. So those are the two kind of different methodologies we used. We have some different numbers here, and we're kind of looking to hear from you all as experts in the place that you live. How do you see growth happening in St. George? Is it on a similar level with East Baton Rouge, or do you see St. George creeping up and growing a little faster than the parish as a whole? So asking you to provide some insight or some thoughts there. What you'll see next time is you'll see that we're going to use those numbers to start allocating where that growth happens and how it happens. The other thing we look at is what are the existing land uses? One of the things that came out here is that about a third of the land uses in St. George are low density residential. Another third is open space or undeveloped, which generally are within all of the floodplain and areas that can't really be developed in. And then you've got the other third that's really made up of a lot of different commercial uses, commercial or multifamily, institutional types of uses. So St. George right now is split about a third each of all of those things. The other thing that we saw in thinking about schools is that there are about 14,000 school-age children using those census numbers that live here in St. George. They're about, which is equal to about 17.5% of the population. So it's a pretty high number for kids. There's a lot of kids in St. George, a lot of families now. And about 61% or 60% or so of the number of schools, not of that enrollment, but of the number of schools are private. And then about 40% or so are public. One of the things that we're asking you out there is, you know, what are your thoughts in terms of where new schools could be located? Thinking about parks, one of the big things that you look at is how many acres are there per 1,000 people. So, and then one of the other things that we always try to do is we try to compare the numbers here with numbers of aspirational places that you might like to be like in the future as a community. Places that were picked in this process, again, through those focus group meetings and whatnot, and the first time that we were here with the community, are Covington, Louisiana, the Woodlands in Texas, Greenville, South Carolina, Sandy Springs, Georgia, and Franklin, Tennessee. So those were some of the places that we picked as aspirational places, or at least comparative places to St. George, so that these numbers make sense against something else. St. George right now fits in right about in the middle, right between Greenville and Sandy Springs there, in terms of the number of acres per 1,000 people. What we heard the last time that we were here is that the thing that's most important about the parks are that there are good amenities in them that are safe and attractive. And so people were more interested in focusing on what was in the parks, how they served the residents, as opposed to really spending a lot of time and energy trying to acquire new parkland. So you'll see questions about that outside in terms of around parks is, what are the new amenities that you would want to see? How would you want to see parks improve to make them more usable? And places that attract not just folks, could be not just folks from the community, but also people from all over. And one of the things you'll see when we get to nodes is, and centers of activity, is that a lot of times these parks, open spaces, recreational areas, they can really be drivers of economic development from the whole regional perspective. You've got sports events, all of those things. And so that's something that we've heard a lot about for St. George through this process. When we get to nodes, I'm always jumping around, but when we get to nodes out there, you'll see we've got green nodes, which are the places that could really be those opportunities to bring people in, have things like hotels and services to serve people from an economic development perspective for all of those big sports tournaments and stuff like that. Safety. So streets and the transportation network are top on the list here. You see that's where folks want to spend their dollars to improve that. And one of the things that people are most interested in is making sure that the streets are safe. And so right now, we've got there's a lot of accidents that happen on the roads out here in St. George. These are some of the top intersections: Airline Highway and Segan Lane and Industrial Plex Boulevard, I-10 in Highland, and Bluebonnet and Perkins. Those are the places where you have the most accidents and the highest severity. We have broken down these numbers in a whole lot of different ways. On the boards out there, you'll see a lot more information about things like when are the accidents happening? Is it at night because there's not enough lighting? Is it during flooding conditions because the roads aren't draining properly? So those are the kinds of things that we're really exploring and making sure to understand so that we can target solutions for safety in those types of areas. So those were vehicular accidents. We also are able to break down the information to say, what about pedestrians or bicyclists? And when are they in unsafe conditions? We're able to break that down as well by the severity of accidents, the time, all of those sorts of things. So you'll see more information on that outside. Floodplain, about almost half of the land area within St. George, I think it's 43%, is within some special flood hazard area. It's a lot of land. And so we wanted to really understand what are all of those different areas. We've got boards outside, and you'll see in some maps coming up about, we want to talk about also, what does that mean from a future growth perspective? Where should we be focusing growth, and how? And so you'll see that these flood hazard maps are working their way into the future growth plans in terms of where growth happens. I talked about how we like to look at inspirational or aspirational places. So you'll see some boards out here that talk about how do these places, this is Covington, what do the centers? So if you think about, you have a good example here of a center in terms of Perkins Row, is a place that's developed as a walkable mixed-use area. We have looked at some other benchmark town centers. So Perkins Row is one example of that, how that can happen, but it can happen in a lot of different ways where you can have a place that people want. I talked about your place might not be centered around a community facility or historic assets. Your place might be, the thing that draws people there might be some type of a recreation, park type of thing. But at any rate, we've studied each of these. Another thing you'll see at each of these boards is the streets, what the streets look like in these places where people want to walk and bike. And you notice this when you go to Perkins Row as well, right? Streets look different. It's not fast-moving, big highway-looking streets. They're smaller. They have slower-moving traffic. The lanes might be smaller so that cars are not prioritized and people are prioritized in those spaces. So we've looked at all those, but it can look different, right? So in the Woodlands, you have really wide boulevards. You have 2 lanes on either side, and you have a wide buffer on the other side of the boulevard. So it's not necessarily that they're small, downtown-looking streets. They can be larger boulevarded streets, but the difference is that you're protecting the humans from this fast-moving cars that nobody wants to walk by, right? So your streets and the design of the streets as more than just a way to move cars, but as a place is a big part of creating centers. And so we've got outside, from listening to everybody before, we've got some dots on some places that we think could develop. There's opportunities there and possibilities that they could develop out in the future as something that looks like this. It can take on a lot of different forms, and each one of them should look different, depending on the character and what goes there and what it's about. So we're wanting to get some ideas from you guys. First, did we pick the right dots? So are there other opportunities that we haven't called up yet? But also, what is the character of each of these types of places? So lots of examples of those. And then we've looked at them all together. So that really brings us to these opportunity areas. You'll see a map like this. It's right against the wall in the foyer there. And what we've started to do is we've started to say, the way we built this map is first we looked at where are all the places that are in flood-prone areas and the special flood hazard areas and are not currently developed or built in. And those places are in the dark green. The next thing we looked at is what are places that are in those special flood hazard areas, but they already have development on them. So, people have businesses and homes and things like that. They will need to fix their homes up and maintain their businesses and things like that. But you want to do it in a really controlled way. So we've got those identified as controlled growth because you want to make sure that you're doing that in a way to not exacerbate flooding in the future. The next one we looked at is kind of where these are areas where you've already got established neighborhoods, established corridors, established kind of retail nodes, and there's maybe not a lot of vacant land. Things are working pretty well. They're neighborhoods. These are places where you could have some targeted infill. So say there's an empty lot and you want to see that redevelop or develop, but you want it to develop similar to what's around it. So that's what we think of as targeted infill. Development, but it happens it's similar to what's around it. The next category there is opportunity areas, medium. So in this, we saw that there was vacant land available. We saw that there was infrastructure available, good streets, water, wastewater. You're not in a floodplain. these are kind of a medium opportunity area. Some of these do already have development, but maybe it's kind of industrial development that you'd like to see switch and turn over to something that's more usable. Maybe there is some infrastructure improvements that need to be done. So those are medium opportunity areas where you're looking for redevelopment, but you want it to look different than what exists now. So those are those possibilities and opportunities. And then opportunity areas high. These could be areas where there's much more vacant land. There's much more possibility. Or you could be on a corridor that maybe it built out a long time ago, and you're seeing more and more vacancy because things aren't wanting to go there anymore. And so you want to see it really redevelop and look different than it does now. And so those would be high opportunity areas. All of this came down, it's probably hard to see this, but there's one of these out here. All of this came down to identifying several nodes. You'll see the green or the orange nodes are the ones that are retail focused. The examples were the ones that I showed before. Perkins Row is an example. The green ones are recreational focused nodes. And then corridors. So these are the corridors that really stuck out that we heard a lot. These are corridors that you'll see had some safety issues. These are the places that you want to invest the most earlier. So that's how we've identified these, just based on what we've heard, also based on traffic counts and the number of businesses on those. And so next steps, really, I will end it here, but I will say we have a great website up. I encourage you all to explore the website. Everything that you've heard here, all of these presentation and slides will be up on that website. We are also going to be pushing out a survey next, and so you'll see that come out from the city. It'll be posted on the website that you can take. It will be mostly all the same questions that we've got out here today, but in a virtual or digital form for folks that couldn't attend. Won't be not quite as much quality that we get out of that in terms of having conversations, so we really appreciate people being here in person because we get a lot more out of that, and it's good to meet everybody, but we do want to get as much feedback as we can. So please do help us to push that survey out to, if you're on an HOA, if you're on a school PTA, please help us and try to push that survey out. The more people that take these and the more input that we get, the more this plan gets implemented. And I think that's the thing to just say is that, we're here, we're gonna help you finish this plan, but you all and the city are going to be implementing this plan. And so the more people that know what's in it, the more people that are participating and putting it together, the more chance and opportunity there is that it actually gets implemented. So please help us with that, and please do spend some time outside and give us your feedback. And we really appreciate you being here and sharing this Sunday with us. The website is, thank you. There you go, stgeorge.conveo.com.
Thank you so much. Real quick before you go in the hallway and you can see all the great placards that they have for you, I just want to recognize a few people that were here today. State Representative Barbara Freiberg here. Thank you so much for being here. State Representative Emily Chenevert is here. Talking about that school bill earlier, both Representative Chenevert and Representative Freiberg were very instrumental in helping us get us to where we needed to be last legislative session. Councilwoman Patty Cook here in the third row. Travis Thornton, who is on our Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as he is the, I don't know what your title is, but he runs the brand new St. George Chamber of Commerce. And if you have a business in the area and you want to get involved in that, I strongly encourage you to reach out to Travis and get involved. They're going to do some unbelievable things. Mayor President Sid Edwards is here, and I just wanted to say a little thing about Coach, is that since I've been in East Baton Rouge Parish, he's truly been the first mayor president that I've been involved with that truly has a holistic approach for the entire parish. And a testament of that is the fact that on a Sunday afternoon where he could be a million different places, he's right here in St. George because he's genuinely interested in what's happening with our city. So thank you, Coach. We really appreciate it. And in the back, Mr. Scott Bird, he is our Program Director of Municipal Services. So if you have an issue with one of your roads or one of your drainage areas or something else, don't call me, because all I'm going to do is turn around and call that guy in the back. Really happy everybody was here. Spend some time, ask questions, give us your input while you're here. That's the point of having these things. It's an informational opportunity to get the information to the public, but more importantly, it's an opportunity to hear back from you. So thank you all so much.
And with that, that kind of ends the program for today. There are some maps and activities in the back or outside as you're leaving. Please participate in those. And for those that don't know me, my name is Brian Dixon. I'm the Planning and Development Director for the City of St. George. So if you guys have any questions in the meantime today or even after the event, you're free to reach out to me at my office. And my staff, Rachel and Colin, please wave, are also over there as well. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out this afternoon. And go enjoy yourselves outside. We much appreciate the feedback that you give us today.